Great night for LSU football. 5 guys go in the first round. They set the record for LSU. The previous record was 4 from 2006. It was a draft that was almost half SEC guys, and so a bunch of guys that LSU played against went in the first round as well. But just going back to LSU, it started off with Joe. It ended with Clyde. And normally we would start talking about Joe here, but we've known Joe was going to be the top pick, and we're going to get to Joe Burrow. And you know how big of a fan I am of Clyde Edwards-Helaire. We had him on the show yesterday. You talked about the possibility of Kansas City over and over again and the fit. And you couldn't place Clyde, in my opinion, in your opinion, in a better spot than Kansas City with Andy Reid, with all of the weapons. I am so happy for this young man. The only running back taken in the first round, the first one off the board. And this is not us to sit here and say we were right, because this is not our moment. He deserved to be a first-round pick. This is his moment, and you could not have placed him, like I said, in a better fit than in Kansas City.
I think one of the best selling points for Clyde Edwards-Helaire was Nick Saban. And when he goes back and he did his detail on Joe Burrow, and I believe he did one of a piece of film for ESPN Plus, and when he talked about the problems, I should say, that Edwards-Helaire brought to the table, and you think about Kansas City and their personnel, really similar to what LSU has. It had a tight end in Kelsey that is absolutely a weapon in space, and Edwards is, again, understanding of his role in that offense, where he knows what all 11 folks are doing, is huge. I mean, he's a plug and play, and he's so versatile into that system. And again, he doesn't have to be an every down back. They have a good supporting cast there, but he's going to be a star, no doubt.
I think you said it, plug and play. I do think he is a guy from day one will get the trust of Patrick Mahomes. And you saw Patrick Mahomes actually tweet after the pick how excited he was. And again, fit, love it, love the offense, love the coaching staff, love the organization, love everything about Kansas City right now. Now he joins the Honey Badger and other LSU guys. There's a ton of LSU guys that have gone through Kansas City, currently at Kansas City. Yeah. And, I got Hester boys that are already Chiefs fans. Now there's no way they're not going to have the red and gold in my house.
I mean, God bless. I got a chance to watch Kansas City put out the live YouTube video of when they zoomed Clyde to let him know he was the pick. And they made it pretty clear there. Bieniemy was on that, as was Andy Reid, and they said, hey, before we got going with the draft, maybe 5 minutes into the draft, we texted Pat Mahomes, said, who do you want? Want Clyde. Mahomes wanted Clyde, and that's all you need to know.
I was catching up with Coach Rick Neuheisel yesterday, and he was talking about Clyde and knowing Bieniemy there and saying that it's a perfect fit. Like, they have talked about him over and over again. And he's like, I'm just reading between the lines here. They love Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and he's like, if they don't take your guy, I would be shocked. So maybe not as surprising, right, as a lot of people are making it out to be.
Yeah, and reading the Chiefs fans, commentaries, Chiefs fans are going to be fans. Some of them wanted an every down back.
And they wanted
Swift.
a defensive guy.
They wanted Dobbins. They do need help on defense.
Swift, by the way, didn't play on third downs. If you've heard me say that once, you've heard me say it 10 times.
But I know, I'm with you. So I don't think the Chiefs fans know exactly what they're getting. Saw some comments. Well, we just got Darren Sproles. He's not Darren Sproles. No. I do like the Maurice Jones-Drew. I think there's some similarities, right? A little bit there.
It's hard for me to find a comp.
Yeah, because Jones-Drew, again, so much of the attractiveness of Clyde, besides the character, was this offense. Mm-hmm. And that he can go to Kansas City and just be an absolute nightmare matchup-wise for defensive coordinators the way he was at LSU.
Of course, we've got 3 other Tigers to talk about that went off the board. JaMarr Chase goes to Jacksonville. Probably goes a little bit, down the road than we thought. We thought maybe 16 or 17. He ends up at number 20. And to me, it feels like Jacksonville said, we can't pass him up. We've got to take the best player available. And now, depending on what they do, and I know they've got an end they want to trade, but you've got a young core of Josh Allen from Kentucky and JaMarr Chase on third downs. That's going to be a dynamic rush. They've got holes all over the place. I understand that. But still, I like the pickup. They go get C.J. Henderson from Florida at number 9, so they're trying the best they can to shore up that defense.
They are, and it's going to be an interesting day 2 and 3 for Jacksonville, because obviously Fournette, that drama is not played out. If it is to play out, you expect it to be either today or tomorrow. Right. A lot of people, there's a lot of buzz about Fournette possibly going to the Bears, and the Bears looking to do a deal there. And then the quarterback position. They've got to bring in a veteran, in my opinion. I'm just not a Minshew guy.
You're not very big on old Gardner.
I'm just not. I know he's a popular guy. He's got a great looking mustache, but
solid mustache. Lloyd looks way better than yours.
If they move Fournette,
I need some clippers. I need a haircut.
During quarantine, your mustache should be thicker.
It's going to. They've got a lot of holes, but yeah, I do like
Joshua Dobbs from Tennessee is their backup right now. That's got to improve.
No,
they've got to get a vet in there.
That's got to get better, and they've got some good veterans out there. Like Cam's still on the table. Is it Jameis? Where's Andy Dalton going to wind up? Not that those are long-term solutions, but they need somebody to at least compete in there with Minshew a little bit. But good landing spot for Caleb Vaughn. Really excited about that. Did not want to see him in Atlanta. Did not want to see him in Dallas.
Yes.
Either spot, so I was happy to see that.
Justin Jefferson, I think, falls into a great situation in Minnesota. Adam Thielen can be your number one receiver. Jets can be your number two. You can move him inside. You can move him outside. Dalvin Cook is a really nice running back. Kirk Cousins, regardless of what you think of him, he is a very serviceable quarterback that can push the ball down the field and get it to his playmakers. That's a team that is set up to win and set up to win now. Look, we all know they made it to the second round of playoffs. I don't even want to mention who they beat in the first round. Let's move quickly. But that's a team that needed a piece like Jefferson that could be ready to play and just be a key piece to help out everything else they already had.
I thought it was a huge day for Minnesota. One of the winners on day one, and I think will be one of the winners after today. I believe they have 3 selections tonight. That combined with what Green Bay did, their chief nemesis in that division, which we'll get to in a second. Minnesota clearly made great strides.
The Green Bay situation. Let's don't. I mean, I want to talk about PQ, but let's real quick talk about the Green Bay situation. You move up 4 picks to take a quarterback when you have Aaron Rodgers. I know how old Aaron Rodgers is. He's 35 years old. He still has 3 more years, in my opinion, of good football left in him.
Right.
You were 13-3 a year ago. You got to buy in the playoffs. Are you not trying to win now? And I understand it's been Green Bay has had a long history of having a guy ready to go waiting in the wings. Aaron Rodgers was that guy for Brett Favre. You think Aaron Rodgers is going to be a good mentor to Jordan Love? He's trying to win now. He's not worried about developing a quarterback. And you spend a first, and not only do you spend a first, Gordy, you move up and give away draft capital to get him.
Yeah, I'm with you, and that's the thing about it. You gave away pick number 40, I believe, wasn't it? Pick number 40 today. They gave up a. It wasn't number 40, was it?
It was a pick today though.
It was a pick that they gave up, and going back to what you said, you're playing for now. That you've got holes on that. You've got holes on that roster. You need to get him some weapons, some helps with that, and for you to go out and do that, knowing that what Minnesota was going to do, and they were going to turn an upgrade, there's no doubt. There's separation right there between those two teams. And for me, that's one of the losers, clearly. Nothing against Jordan Love, right? And Jordan Love may wind up being a fantastic quarterback and could be the quarterback of the Green Bay Packers for a long time. But for 2020,
right,
and what Rodgers has meant to this franchise.
And that relationship wasn't great last year. You bring in a new head coach. We heard it was rocky, and you go and do this. When you have a star behind the center, I'm not saying you cater to him hand and foot, but you cater to him hand and foot. You do whatever you can to make him happy, to give him weapons, and now that relationship is even more sour than it was last year at this time.
It's absolutely shot. You take yourself short term. I don't care what you take yourself out of the hunt.
All right, let's move on to Patrick Queen. I think this is another really good fit. He's a starter from day one, inside linebacker. And if anybody knows how to develop a linebacker, it's Baltimore. I hated playing against the Ravens because it didn't matter who they had at inside linebacker. He looked like he was made in a factory, and he was going to be aggressive, smart, and downhill. It didn't matter who it was. He fits that mold. PQ looks like he was built in a factory. We know he's a very instinctive football player. He's only going to continue to get better. Yep. This is a guy that this position is still somewhat new to him. And so there's a ceiling to Patrick Queen that can only go up and go up in a big way. I see him being a guy that plays in Baltimore for 10-plus seasons. Mm-hmm. I truly believe he's that kind of talent, and this fit adds to that. There's other places that he may have gone to that I still feel good about it. I feel great about this situation for PQ.
Absolutely. Baltimore Ravens, and you look how bright the future is there, the way that Lamar Jackson played a year ago. They've always been stout defensively. Great landing spot for Patrick Queen.
I was going to talk about the Saints pick here in this first block, but I feel like at some point, like, I need Haney because Haney was not well. And he's coming in, and I'll let him get a little bit into it. We'll get into it when we come back, but let's just say Charles Handegriff, I've seen him upset in the multiple years that I've known him, maybe twice, and this is the first one that didn't involve an LSU-Alabama football game.
He was the Caesar salad comment went on for quite some time, and talking about Cesar Romero and perhaps who was the best joker of all time. That discussion kind of went off the rails. I get it. It wasn't a sexy pick, and hearing Matt talk about the discussion with Mike Detillier and the amount of money they're on the hook for Warford, and he's got 1 year left on his deal. I get long term,
but this isn't
right?
a long term team,
and I get that, right?
Matt tried to make that that point, and I understand that point,
right?
But that's not the point that needs to be made for this team.
So now you're banking on, without the Saints do not have a second round pick, that your two inside linebackers are going to stay healthy.
Yeah,
which you haven't been able to, and now that was a question mark going in. Queen fell to them, and they elected to go with Ruiz, and this isn't an LSU thing. It's just that was a huge need.
And I'm not a big fan of guys switching positions. I'm just not. I don't think a right tackle can just move over to left and be okay. I don't think a center can move to guard and be okay. I don't think a guard can move to center and be okay. Does it work out sometimes? Yes. But why? Why do you do it? Why do you chance it? To me, when you play center, that's different than when you play guard. Because when you play center, you've got protection on both sides of you in pass pro more than any other position, okay? When you play guard, well, you're pulling on powers. You're pulling on counters. Some stretch boss plays, you're the puller. When you're center, you don't do that. That's not natural to you. That's not something
it's not natural,
that you
but
do.
he did do that in Michigan. Hearing a little bit about him, they did utilize him a little bit with this. I get. Look, I get all of the above.
But you know this: pulling on a toss in college is different.
Oh, no question.
Than pulling on a guard in the NFL.
No question.
On a power.
100%, absolutely. And look, it from the business side of it, I get it. There's a business side of where they're going, but I'm in the same boat with you. New Orleans Saints are in a win now mode, right? Tampa Bay, as we saw last night, they're in a win now mode,
right?
Right, and so you're another one of those teams, and 2-3 years down the line, I understand this play.
I mean, if you traded Warford for a fourth-round pick, and okay, well, there's the opening. Okay, then I'll buy that a little bit more. But Warford is on your books. He's on your team right now. It doesn't look like they're going to move him. You signed Andres Pete to a huge contract. Eric McCoy was a hell of a center as a rookie.
Great pick.
He was a mauler.
Right.
Nick Easton, when he played last year, I didn't notice it, and I mean that in a positive manner.
Yeah.
Like, he was a guy that filled in, did his job, and he is on the books, and you pay him a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
For me, there's so many question marks when you had basically 80% of the guys you wanted in the draft fell to you. How many times last night, Gordy, did we say, man, New Orleans is in a good spot?
No,
man,
absolutely.
New Orleans, they're going to have their pick, whoever they want. And then the Chargers move up and take one away. Kenneth Murray gets taken away, the linebacker. Right. Okay, there goes the other 80% still available. That's what is maybe more shocking than anything to me is who was available, who they took, and when they took them.
And I think that was a theme in the first round. A lot of the teams, in terms of mocks, there was a higher percentage of mocks that were correct than usual because a lot of teams were able to get the player they want, address the need, and it was sitting there, for the New Orleans Saints. And look, New Orleans Saints have done a great job the last couple of years draft-wise. I go back to what you said. Saints are in a win-now mode. Does this solve that? Does this help that for you?
It doesn't even matter. Like, the player is not the person that I'm trying to dissect here. It's the need, the fit, and everything that surrounds the Saints situation.
Yeah.
Cesar Ruiz could end up being a Pro Bowl player. So this isn't against him. This is more of, okay, you have guys that could help you in other spots like right now without having to move positions.
Yep.
Like, because regardless, you're going to move either McCoy or Ruiz to another position.
And you could have potentially traded down, right?
And
if there was a partner,
same player.
If there was a partner, obviously only there are a couple of people that moved. I know Green Bay obviously moved back up in there, and he would have been on the board. I don't think a lot of people had him in that first round. A little bit of a bubble first, second round.
All right, real quick, inside the Bayou Ford Huddle, why do we keep saying this is not a win-now pick? The offensive line got abused by Minnesota and had late injuries in the last 2 years. but you're banking on injuries, and you're banking on people that you're paying a lot of money not paying, because Warford or Easton or anybody else, any combination, if you play a younger player, well, they're not on the field, right? And we all know Andrews Pete ain't going anywhere. We just saw what he signed for. And so you have money on the bench is our point here. You have a lot of your salary cap in a team that needs salary cap help all the time with a guy on the bench making a lot of money.
Absolutely. You got a lot of money invested in that offensive line.
I'll go back to it. It's not about the player. It's about the fit for the organization.